What's good YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Larsen and Conditioning. Can you train too much and can you train too little? What is the best amount of sessions in a week for the best gains possible? Training frequency. The least you can train in a week is once. The maximum is 7. At least when we're talking about in terms of strength training. So, if you are training 7 days a week, chances are you're either under recovering or you're not really training. It's basically 7 days warm up. If you are training very hard and training 6 or 7 days a week, chances are that you are very much under recovering. So this is not something that is very good in order if you want the best gains possible, because we need the recovery to be just right, not over or under. If you're under recovering, this will lead to worse session, less load use, less intensity, less sets, less energy, overall less effort. On the other side, if you're training once a week, you'll essentially always be recovered, and you are essentially over recovered, so you're not really going to get much progress out of your training, if at all. If you're only training twice a week, you will pretty much always also be over recovered at all times. So training once or twice per week is not enough. Training 6 or 7 days per week is too much. So this effectively narrows it down to somewhere between 3 to 5 days per week for most people. Again, this is for most people, not for the athlete or for genetic freak. How much rest is needed? Most people need 2 to 4 days of rest per week. This gives you ample time to recover and also gives you some ability to actually be flexible in your training days and be able to change things around, which creates some freedom in of itself, so you don't have to live in a gym or feel like you're being captive by the gym. If we take a look at splits, if you train 3 days a week where you do full body, it becomes a bit difficult to actually hone in on certain muscle groups, so you can't really create a proper focus with that. On the other flip side, if you're training 5 days a week, you can very much focus things. However, you don't have the good flexibility that you would have with 4 days, where if you train 5 days a week, if something happens and you're forced to skip, you basically have to skip. You can't really move a day one way or the other, whereas with 4 days a week, you have this flexibility. Training and social life. With 4 days per week, for most people, it tends to be the best, because you have 3 days of rest in the week, and you also have the ability to be flexible in what days you're going. You're not really going to have the feeling of being held captive, of having to go certain days. If you're tired one day, you can then push the session to the next day. It's not a big deal, as long as you don't do it way too often. That way it can start becoming a problem, but you still have the option to do it every now and then. So this also allows you to have muscles where you get a little more focused and more specific on certain things, whereas with other splits you don't have the same type of flexibility and also get the frequency and be able to hone in on certain muscles. So training 4 days a week tends to be the best for the vast majority of people. Thank you for watching. Larsen Conditioning signing out. I hope you have an awesome day.